but I think he is more likely than not to initiate the aggression in this series and try to take control of the pacing of the game. But we are loaded in Guardicio, and in the top right-hand side, it is yo boy, SKillous.
In the bottom left-hand corner, we do have from BNIG, it is, of course, ShoWTimE.
Berlin International Gaming. I never quite got that. Because, like, yeah, because it's like Berlin, you know?
Berlin,
like
but then
yeah,
international.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's like you're based in Berlin, but you support international gaming, right? Maybe
something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like saying like local but international. It's kind of strange.
This is our local international app. Well, that makes sense, right? Like my airport is called like XYZ International Airport, right?
That's true. Like, every airport is like international, but you're flat. Yeah, exactly. I guess they do operate internationally, if that's how you want to put it.
Yeah, I guess so. That's my best guess. I never really thought about it, but you know what, Cat? That's what's so great about Castwood. It made me think about things I've never thought of before, quite frankly.
Right. Well, this is a pylon that I've never thought of before either. So what do you make of that? He just wants to wall off with one building and have the option to wall off with like an extra pylon or something of the sort. It's kind of a weird one, isn't it?
The only thing I can think of is that he's afraid of, like, if you build your tech structure like a Stargate in the wall, that sometimes, you know, when you have those attacks like try and target the Stargate down, that something like that might happen. So then you just have a pylon, which is so much weaker, so your wall's worse. So I'm not sure that really improves it. So yeah, I'm not really sure about the pylon.
I've never seen it in this matchup. In PvC, you can kind of see it, right? Like, it's like, oh, I want to get away with not making my second gateway as early and then, you know, block off a ramp in some maps. But yeah, I mean, ShoWTimE, more importantly, is going for a proxy target. But SKillous gonna scout it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, that was a quick scout too. What do you do if your ShoWTimE cancel? Go for it?
No. You commit. I think you commit because it's obviously a super nearby Stargate, and I almost would say he was maybe even thinking about like a Void Ray or something. But now I think you just let it finish and you just get an Oracle out and you just try and harass a little bit, right? Not ideal because you can probably only get one Oracle out. Getting two out might be tough, but I think you just gotta go. Like, canceling just does so little for you, and the Oracle is still so useful throughout the game. So as long as you get one Oracle out of this, I think ShoWTimE is not too upset. Obviously not ideal, but yeah, he's actually still gonna go for the Void Ray, man. He's still gonna commit. Wow.
Yeah, I like your Oracle idea personally, right? Because you don't really need the Stargate past the first one, or sometimes most often two Oracles in this matchup. So you get that utility regardless. You force the shield battery, etc. The Void Ray is a little bit heavier of a commitment. So if it doesn't work, he will actually be considerably behind. Like, so yeah, let's see what happens here. Is there shield battery in the main? Do you think ShoWTimE can threaten that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, the Void Ray kind of forces the Stalkers to stay near a battery typically, and yeah, I mean, I guess this is cool, right? Now you bring the Void Ray into the main, the Stalker's on the low ground, but the Void Ray turns around. It looks like he wants to protect long enough to get this Oracle out. He is going to go, and he should have one Stalker kill at least. Does he keep his other Stalker alive? He does. He could go just 1-for-1 trade here if he wants to turn around.
Yeah, in the bush, he could definitely just turn around and kill the Stalker.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't want to. He wants to keep that Stalker alive. I think he's achieved his goal, which was eventually he wanted to get the Oracle out as well, and obviously he does that, and that can, of course, provide information and some ability to deal damage. And the mineral line battery on the natural just isn't there; it's on the front. So, yeah, those three probes will be in a little bit of trouble. And there goes the Stargate, but like you said before, it's not really needed past these first couple of units. So, yeah, I mean, as long as you keep that Oracle alive, which is a bit more of a priority than usual, simply for the fact it can't be replaced easily.
Yeah, for sure. I actually like it, and there was a double shield battery made at the front, but then SKillous, upon seeing that it was an Oracle second, he kind of just abandoned that idea. He knew that he wasn't about to get busted, and so he canceled as well. So not too many losses on his side either, and the game will be mostly even, I think, at this point. I mean, the Oracle still did all right. I think the Void Ray could have been a little bit better controlled, but, you know, he was probably looking at the Oracle, to where it could have closed off the path where the Stalkers were going to path back to his base and forced a recall, or the Stalkers to go way around, right? Instead, he doesn't kill that one very weak Stalker, and yeah, I think the game's pretty even. ShoWTimE has to be really careful, though.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get too caught out, and he's got such a fast blink in comparison to SKillous. SKillous has good stalker numbers. ShoWTimE will eventually have the faster blink, probably has to give up the attempt to take a third base already. The Void Ray! Yeah, playing a dangerous game there. Nearly going down, not quite in the end, but yeah, obviously you just want to keep that because it's just going to act as a good stronghold of defense as the Oracle finds again this mineral line, and they're just not close enough to the battery cats. Now they get there, but another couple probes, and that's just good damage to keep on just adding up throughout this game.
Yeah, it's a good battery, right? Because it covers against the Void Ray and against this partially, but definitely like the surprise factor is gonna allow ShoWTimE to get 3 probes and get SKillous off of mining, which a closer battery to the mineral line wouldn't. So yeah, ShoWTimE kind of maybe equalizing if he was at all behind, but like you said, he also has the advantage as far as the blink is concerned. So yeah, things are looking decent for him. I don't think anyone has a major advantage, but this might change here.
Yeah, I guess gonna see a Stalker going down, and SKillous is continuing to chase a little bit, so brave considering ShoWTimE's the one with the blink, but works out for him, gets an extra kill. The Void Ray, I love this, just showing up at a random kind of point in time in a random place, and hey, I mean, you get a pylon out of this, that's brilliant, right? Yeah, it's not going to shut down the Twilight Council producing or anything, but it's one more pylon you wouldn't have killed otherwise. It's cool to just still be making use of that Void Ray, even when you are now on the offensive, and you don't need the Void Ray as much defensively.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that pylon nearly supply blocks SKillous to the point where, I mean, he is supply blocked if he wants to make anything, right? So he has to wait for his next pylon, now adding 2. And yeah, that is a little bit annoying for him as he gets adventurous once again with his blink, but ShoWTimE's just going to retreat and tuck his third in, whereas SKillous has put his in the triangle. So ShoWTimE will be a little bit quicker to the upgrades as well, so slight advantages here and there for ShoWTimE.
Oh. Yep. Oh, Stalker's going to blink forward as we do see a couple of them starting to go down. And Void Ray maybe join in the flank. Obviously, he still wants to prioritize keeping this Void Ray alive, it seems. And with the blink to chase, he gets one more Stalker. And so far, just very back and forth on these trades.
Yeah, that Void Ray wiggle was really cool, right? Because it forced, or it made SKillous be like, oh, like my next shot could land onto that Void Ray and then it dies. And then ShoWTimE moves it away. So you just kind of lose a little bit of a wiggle of your SKillous, and that makes it so that ShoWTimE can just blink forward towards you, and the distance will be a little bit closer, right? So he picks off a couple of Stalkers on retreat there that he may not have gotten otherwise. And yeah, I mean, the game will continue to be pretty even here. 57 workers to 62, and charge on the way for ShoWTimE. It just feels whenever I look at the production tab that ShoWTimE's a tiny bit ahead in most regards when it comes to tech, when it comes to expanding, when it comes to economy, but none of those leads are significant.
Yeah, it's very tough to get a big enough lead out of any of that, right, to really take this away and try and make it into something better. That's a nice basis, but only on 3 Stalkers. I did think it was just going to be a little bit better. Yeah, nice to pull the Observer back here as well, recognizing that he might lose it if he lets these Stalkers of his opponent just kind of cruise around with their own obs. So ShoWTimE being very good on all fronts. Here's the Oracle again, just finding a way to get rid of a couple of probes. Just this is where it's coming from as well, right? This Oracle, just a few kills throughout the game and just little things that have been adding up. But now ShoWTimE getting a big win over here, clearing out those last few Stalkers as well. And yeah, just maintaining lead after lead. And the little leads advantages will eventually add up. I mean, now a 10-worker advantage plus an army supply plus upgrades. You've got to start thinking that soon ShoWTimE will be able to take a fight that SKillous just can't do anything about.
It is starting to feel that way. SKillous is trying to take a 4th, but it's not ready yet. There's no shield battery here. The probes are also liable to die here, and Nexus is most likely going to be cancelled here. So a little bit problematic for SKillous, who seems eager to take a fight. I'm not sure that he has the numbers for that. However, and ShoWTimE has the better concave and he knows it as well. So SKillous trying to out-micro his way out of this situation. Not sure that he's going to be able to. So now retreating back to the safety of the battery. But a few probes are going to fall in transition, a 6 amount total. So, yeah, looking pretty rough now.
Yeah, it really isn't looking too great as obviously ShoWTimE just continue to trade well in this fight. Super Battery still just healing up what it can, and that's going to slow ShoWTimE down, but ShoWTimE isn't going to mind. With the 4th base up versus 3 bases, there's 2 things he needs to be careful of, and those are like the comeback mechanics of PvP, right? DTs and, well, Disruptors. And in fairness, SKillous has DTs ready to go. He's on his way to the Robo Bay for Disruptors. ShoWTimE just needs to stay on top of that and not let those things bring SKillous back in the game, and he really should just be golden for the moment.
Yeah, for sure. So now for SKillous, you want to max out. You want to try to take your base however you can and secure it, and then, you know, make it a longer game where these advantages are gonna kind of dissipate if if nothing else. The DT is going to find a cannon in that mineral line as ShoWTimE continues to find damage here. 3 additional probes have fallen, and positioning is good for him. The shield battery was taken down as well during all this. And still he's going to concede that ground. I'm not even sure that he needed to do that. I think he might have been able to kill SKillous had he stayed there. Instead, he's going to go for the easy 4th, though, which is just as valuable in the sense that it maintains a very clear, strong lead. SKillous probing with the DTs to try to find an empty spot without cannons, without detection, but not going to be the case.
Yeah, ShoWTimE's defense is on point. He's got the preparations here. I think he just knew what he could lose to, right? And he's just already made sure that he is not going to lose to those things that you would most expect to lose to at this point in time. So, yeah, looking just continuously great for ShoWTimE now as he takes a 5th base. His opponent tries to take a 4th, and yeah, just lead after lead has eventually built up here from ShoWTimE, and well, not even a cancel this time.
That is rough indeed. And now we are just hoping for magical shots from the disruptors, and we need more than one at this point. Here comes the first attempt, but ShoWTimE should be well aware of that of the disruptor on the high ground. Instead, one of his probes will get clipped by it and die. So yeah, SKillous, I mean, his 4th is denied before he places it. That's kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, this is really, you're starting to get wrapped around in this situation, and yeah, it just doesn't really feel like much of a way to win this at this point. SKillous, like I said, you have some outs in the terms, in the forms of the DTs, in the form of the disruptors. When ShoWTimE is playing like this around those outs and making sure they can't get enough done, yeah, I mean, we're playing forward here. That's the disruptor that hasn't fired yet, so now you're on cooldown, and you don't have disruptors, and you're outnumbered in stalkers, and this really should just be, for the most part, ShoWTimE's game. SKillous says GG. He's going to get out of here, and ShoWTimE will take the first game of this best of 5 comfortably, calmly. Bit of a weird start with the proxied Stargate, but went well enough for him that he was able to close it out and prolong the game in the end.
Yeah, and I love the proxy target because it also says like, hey, I'm not going to be just passive. I'm not going to be just absorbing like I did against Kung Fu and like I often do. Instead, watch out because I can do some funky stuff too. So you got to scout. You got to be on the lookout too. And yeah, it kind of sets the pace. I love it from ShoWTimE. Very clean game.
Yeah, really cool stuff. We're going to go Cosmic Sapphire for map 2. So map that doesn't have that ramp up into the natural cat. So we're already talking about something different here typically, where expanding quickly is just not as potent on this map because it's not as good defensively. So maybe some fun stuff out of that. Some 2-gate setups in the main. A lot of just potential differences that could happen here going into a map at number 2. And obviously, if the game gets there, there's that possible gold base as well to really make this map interesting. So a fun second map coming up. ShoWTimE's map pick even. So obviously we'll feel fairly comfortable on this one. Obviously in PvP, everyone plays with the same advantage and disadvantage. But that's ShoWTimE saying, hey, I feel like this map fits my style the best for whatever reason. So we'll see if that is going to be true as he looks to take the lead.
The reason why, Dicho. I think he's going to open the same as he did in his previous series, which is just with a Sentry Stalker of the double gate, right? Yeah. And Sentry Stalker is so nice because you can scout, and that's what ShoWTimE wants to do. And oftentimes he gets 2 sentries and 2 stalkers, and he's so good at defending with that whilst gathering information. So if I'm SKillous, I say, you know what? I'm going to go for the 1-gate expand anyway. Because Sentry Stalker at the very least is not very aggressive, right? Like the options for aggression are really low. So yeah, we'll see what they choose to do. It's gonna be pylons on the high ground as most people would expect here from both players. And yeah, I mean, in the bottom right hand side, it's your boy SKillous. Someone pick him up already. He's so good.
In the top left hand corner, Blue Pros player is ShoWTimE.
Yeah, I would almost wager it's going to be Sentry Stalker against Stalker from SKillous, or maybe Adepts.
Yeah, I think SKillous is definitely capable of playing a few different things, but I do feel like he likes to get on the map, take some control, sort of setups like the double Stalkers, that kind of style.
Yeah, he likes to micro for sure. So ShoWTimE's going to be scouting a little bit faster here. SKillous is going to go out on the map. Already looked for Proxy Sync, his natural expansion. Both players are going to be dropping their Cyber Cores at about the same time. And this was, I mean, tiny bit of advantage on the mining for SKillous for scouting a little bit later. But he's actually just paused with his probe. So this looks like probably a proxy target of his own on a very difficult location to scout.
Yeah, that's a funky position. You think it's target for sure?
Just given the position, right? Like it seems like it's so far away to go with a robo or anything like that.
The only other thing I would say is maybe like a Robo, but only for Prism, like no Immortal.
Yeah, I could see a Prism. All right, it's gonna be a Robo indeed. So Prism, no Immortal is what you're expecting. Would you say then go Adepts, like 2 Adepts, elevate him into the main, or?
I imagine you take a third gateway as well, and then you just go mass units, right? I mean, otherwise, if you're proxying the Robo, you kind of want to be winning with it, or severely, hurting your opponent, because otherwise the threat of losing the Robo is so bad for the rest of the game. So yeah, but I mean, we didn't start the extra gateway, so maybe we do just go like a few Stalkers poking, then like a couple of Adepts to elevator in, like you suggested, and then we just expand off the back of it. But I just don't understand why we're hiding the Robo then, unless we just hide it so well we do build the Immortal, then a Prism. And then it's not about walking the Immortal across the map, perhaps.
Yeah, let's see. It is going to be an Immortal. So yeah, very odd position. And again, to your point though, like the Robo at least is in a difficult position to find as it gets found. And maybe that gave SKillous some solace. But yeah, it feels almost like you don't need to proxy that Robo so much. Like the distance is almost comparable. But maybe he wanted to conceal information as well from the probe that was sharking around his main. So one Adept's going to fall here from ShoWTimE.
There's that extra gateway from SKillous, so it is just going to be kind of aggression. I mean, like I said, it kind of had to be, and then it kind of had to be an Immortal if you're not building the third gate so quickly. So, yeah, like I said, it's just funky because it's a long way for the Immortal to walk across, so you don't immediately get pressure. But I guess it's more about the overall kind of hit hard with the whole attack. But yeah, I love the Phoenix in this scenario. No, you're just going to lift up the Immortal, take that big chunky unit out of the equation, and yeah, I mean, that being taken out takes a lot of the advantage away for SKillous here, and it's not like ShoWTimE's being greedy, it's not like he's trying to expand or anything, right? He's just going to keep on producing himself, and yeah, going to be set to go soon. That Stalk is still building, blocking the Warp Gate from coming in, but yeah, I kind of like it so far for ShoWTimE. I feel like this is a good setup for him.
Yeah, that's just the thing. It was a really good read from ShoWTimE to where he didn't expand, which I'm sure SKillous was hoping for. The Immortal will now get picked up by the 2 Phoenix and get taken down swiftly. The only good... Oh, beautiful, beautiful micro here from SKillous. Maybe recall is the play now. He has to get a little bit far away from the Stalkers to make sure that they can't also poke while the Phoenix is poking. He's going to instead drop the Immortal, and hey, like it's regenerated some of his shields already, but here comes Phoenix number 2 as SKillous with wonderful micro once again. Will continue to try to save it. How much longer can he save it for? Not much.
Yeah. Ooh,
loss, though.
Yeah, unnecessary Phoenix loss. It just turned into the Stalkers. Didn't really do much. I thought for a moment he might try and lift 2 Stalkers, then just keep on fighting. Maybe that was his plan. He backed away, but just backed away too soon. Hence losing the Phoenix. Either way, I mean, this is a huge shutdown to begin with, and he has his 1 base versus 1 base. ShoWTimE knows that this Robo is going to be out on the map somewhere, and he's going to find it right now. You're building a Prism.
Yeah.
I mean
that's ambitious.
Micro. Yeah, now this is what the Phoenix are great at as well. You just lift up a couple Stalkers, and so you offset the fight a little bit. Now the Phoenix is tanking damage, so you just get to fight the gateway units a lot better off yourself. But there's the Prism now starting to micro, and that's why it would have been nice to get rid of it. And with the Warp in, ShoWTimE's probably going to have to back it up now.
Yeah, really, really nice. A lot of those Adepts also not contributing as much as better units would have, like in the straight-up fight, right? Like, say, Stalkers. So that is a little bit of a breather there for SKillous. And ShoWTimE is now blocking the expansion of SKillous. I would have thought that SKillous might have taken an expansion himself, but I think he would have gotten hard punished if he did. So I'm glad that he didn't. And yeah, the 1 basing prolongs for the time being, which is nuts going into a 6-minute game now.
Yeah, it definitely is. ShoWTimE really obviously would have liked to have gotten rid of the Robo production because that would have slowed SKillous down big time. Now he's going into his own Robo and having his Phoenix can't reset. He's obviously left without a lot of tech of his own, so it does suddenly become very awkward for ShoWTimE. He's just not really set up anywhere like he would have liked to have been. And I guess now SKillous can just leave a soft contain on this position and poke and prod at the gateways and then just take his own expansion back at home. I don't feel like he needs to try and push his way up into the base still, though.
This feels good for SKillous, doesn't it, at this point? Like, he is now containing. And like you said, I mean, ShoWTimE is remaking Phoenix, but those are going to lose a little bit of value given the number of Stalkers now, because they are so much easier to take down, and that gains value on the Immortal. So, yeah, it's looking a little bit difficult. This Zealot's trying to do what he can, and the other one's actually doing a great job at trying to kill the pylon, but the next Immortal should handle that. As SKillous continues to micro here at the front and seems to have no intention of expanding. That is the one thing that I would love to see from him.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's the one thing that just makes this game a little bit easier overall. And ShoWTimE trying to defend this gateway at the front. If you can avoid losing that, then brilliant. Yeah, it was just that one moment ShoWTimE decided to commit with the Phoenix. It was just not quite the right call, right? Because if he still has 2 extra Phoenix at home right now, it's just so much more powerful. Like now, like you say, building 1 Phoenix feels very mediocre almost. The Stalker's going to kill it almost instantly. If you have 3, at least that's like 3 volleys, and by then your ground units do a lot of damage in the meanwhile, so... Yeah, no, a very interesting game, and me too, try and lift him all
there's
there.
the Phoenix. Yeah,
Phoenix died instantly.
Yeah, didn't really accomplish much of anything. SKillous is trying to force the issue still. I mean, you have map control, you have probably the better army, you have sentries down the ramp. Just make the Nexus.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this can only really go wrong for you by not expanding, right? I get that he's going into Blink and other things and stuff, but it only gets worse for you if you don't expand, right? Like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, this can work, and it is looking good, right? Like, and SKillous might be able to close out the game right now, but expanding just kind of gets you an advantage that's for sure yours to keep, similar to what ShoWTimE was doing in the last game, expanding whilst keeping up the aggression, whilst he had map control, and just securing the game like that little by little. Whereas SKillous seems very intent on showing his micro, and you know, it's a very difficult, methodical way to go up this ramp against 2 Immortals, multiple batteries. At least the battery overcharge has been spent now, but that leaves you a narrow timing window should you want to try again.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really worried. Like, the Blink coming through is nice, don't get me wrong. It's just... Yeah, it's just you could have had Blink and also probably a base, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
on the other side now.
Yeah. And this is nice. Obviously, he needs to kind of maybe do some damage himself just to bounce back a bit, or at least he would probably need to if his opponent hadn't expand. Now it doesn't feel like he needs to do much of anything. But of course, SKillous still is the one who's in a better place to take an expansion, because ShoWTimE still has to somehow break out of his base. So even though the expansion's later than we would have liked, it's still going to be that advantage to SKillous, and he has the Blink to help utilize his units now. And so his Stalker's going to be way better in engagements as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, in case, you know, anyone in chat thinks that is a misread of the situation, we think SKillous is pretty far ahead, right? Like we're in agreement of that. It's just an issue of how he's capitalizing on it or not capitalizing on it. And right now, I mean, he really wants that Nexus. He did clear the pylon on the low ground, just dealt with the Warp Prism as well. He's about to be mined out. I mean,
yeah,
you know, yeah, you want an expansion for sure.
Nice using the Blink, revealing the Blink to help kill off these couple of Adepts. So chasing that down is, oh my god. We get here, we delay the base a bit longer, so ShoWTime's still going to be happy about that. What ShoWTime got on the bottom left, by the way? Is that something that could be cheeky? No, it's just a zealot. I was wondering if you had like a probe that he could maybe like fill the gold base with or something, but...
That would have been good. Yeah. That would have been one way out of this game, or into it rather, right?
SKillous is even checking for it as well. So he even thinks like, you're on 1 base, I'm just going to double check you're actually on 1 base, so...
Yeah, because being on 1 base is crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
There it is, by the way, top right. There is a probe on the map that will build a Nexus. Yeah. Obviously, this is... what happened here was ShoWTime obviously was expecting SKillous to keep on being aggressive, or SKillous was showing he's still being aggressive, so ShoWTime never slowed down to get Blink. So now he's just in a bit of map control disadvantage because he doesn't have Blink. Does Hallucination get around to see the top right? I don't think it does, which is a shame. It's like the 1 base it won't check, but I believe there's something else heading over. He will find that Nexus, so ShoWTime's on a timer to do something because this base will not be allowed to live.
Yeah, I gotta be careful of your skills there not to move your entire army towards that base as he moves his entire army towards that base. Because now you're conceding the ground on the low ground, right? And you're not that far ahead in terms of the expansion. I really don't know that he needed to do this. I feel like just a unit would have been fine. But yeah, so ShoWTime is able to expand himself. He's still at a disadvantage. Skills still ahead, but gives up the contain rather easily there.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we said before, right? Hopping on the same point maybe, but just felt like SKillous could have had this own expansion down so much sooner. Felt like he could have done so much more to set up better for this situation now where he has to give up on the other side of the map. Yeah, he still had an army supply. He's still ahead, like we've been saying. It's not about him not being ahead. It's about how far ahead he is. He could have had this game under lock and key. Instead, it's
just
still...
under lock.
Yeah,
the
it's
key's
just under
out
lock.
there somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's great analogy, Cats.
All right, well, ShoWTime is now getting adventurers out on the map, so that is a little bit scary. He also finished his Dark Shrine as well, so there's that to work with. Though SKillous does have an observer, so that will serve him well. But the robo being taken down means that if he gets rid of the one observer, SKillous could be in a world of trouble. There is another robo going instantly in the main, as well as the robotics bay to augment his army with eventual disruptors. So yeah, already covering himself for what might happen for potentially losing the game to that one observer being sniped. DT in the main though.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the ways back in as well, right? Get some DTs in, get some probe kills. Even if there's an observer, right? It has to be in the right place. You need the units here to defend, and that's what's great about DTs. What's unfortunate is obviously ShoWTimE loses a few probes of his own at the same time. If he hadn't lost his brokers to these adepts, then yeah, maybe he's taking a bit of a worker lead right now. Instead, he's still trailing by just a little bit. And this DT now gets chased to the corner, so unless SKillous isn't paying attention, this is going to be dead. But it's very possible SKillous doesn't realize he didn't finish it off, which would be a nice little victory for ShoWTimE. Bring that back in, a couple more probes further down the line. I think that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, more likely than not. And now we are just going to chill for a little bit. I mean, ShoWTimE is still behind a couple of workers as well. So I am curious about what the income graph looks like just over the course of the game. It's been kind of weird, like both players not really getting much income, as you can see. But now it's SKillous pulling a little bit ahead here and there, as he took his expansion earlier, and things are beginning to stabilize for ShoWTimE, who is looking for a third, which will force SKillous out onto the map to try and make something happen. That's when that DT can backstab as well and equalize on the economic front. So if ShoWTimE can hold and the DT can do damage, we have a game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's definitely got potential here for ShoWTimE. The disruptor is going to be a big thing for him. Like I said it in the first game, right? It's like there's two comeback units in PvP. It's disruptors and it's DTs, and ShoWTimE's kind of got, you know, a couple of them right now. So he's got them available to go, and that means he should be able to, yeah, kind of hang on here. I mean, obviously being denied a third, Thomas SKillous having his own disruptor is nice, but he wants to be careful with how aggressive he is. One disruptor isn't scary because you just blink on top of it, kill it, and then boom, it's no longer a threat, right? So, gotta be careful here. Oh, this is sentry.
Yep. Good force field throw onto the Immortal, forcing the Disruptor as well to fire just defensively to try and protect it. And 4 Adepts are a wonderful tool here on the side of ShoWTimE, who might remember as well that he has a DT in the main and in the meanwhile, and he could do a lot of economic damage here. SKillous almost heading towards that secret gold base that ShoWTimE just began taking, but unfortunately changes his mind. And yeah, he is taking his own third base. So as far as SKillous is concerned right now, he is taking his third. ShoWTimE is not taking his third, and that is the advantage that he's working with. The problem is ShoWTimE is taking his third. It's a gold, and he hasn't spotted it yet. So this game, if it goes the distance with misinformation, it could be bad. SKillous, though, maybe finding this disruptor. He will find one.
Yeah, ShoWTimE didn't want to fire right there because he kind of just knew that one disruptor will die no matter what. So still saving the shots, used one eventually. ShoWTimE's still getting bullied around just that little bit, so still not quite able to just comfortably move out, hold his own. SKillous just bullying with this large army supply. It's the one thing he's had consistently throughout, right? That army supply lead of about 20, and using it well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is Raptor side a little bit behind. Got to be careful with that and the high ground vision. Again, ShoWTimE has not remembered still that he has that Dark Temper to work with in the main. It feels like he could have done a little bit more damage. But yeah, SKillous at least will find the secret gold as well on the retreat. So now that forces ShoWTimE onto his triangle third, and that means that he is lagging behind on that regard, as SKillous just finished his, and he just gets to start his own. So ShoWTimE, knowing where the army of SKillous is going to move across the map and try to pounce on this base. Very nice move. Can he actually withhold? This could be the game-ending engagement, depending on how it goes. And the Disruptor shot is good from ShoWTimE, but he will lose one Disruptor in exchange. The blink to avoid the Disruptor shot from SKillous is really good as well. And the armies are kind of equalizing here a little bit.
Yeah, I actually really thought that ShoWTimE was going to have a bigger Disruptor shot there. Didn't happen. He taps out GG's. Yeah, he's a bit behind, but I didn't think he was like quite yet GG's behind, you know? I feel like he could have maybe just looked for another Disruptor. I feel like SKillous is even shaking his head like, yeah, like I'm ahead, but like, you know, your Disruptor shot away from evening it out, right? Like, there's still just 20 supply. I guess his Disruptors are sectioned off in a weird way though, so.
Yeah, maybe he didn't have a war person for reinforcing, just thought, you know, that he's also behind in economy. Like, the fight wasn't going amazing for him for sure, but yeah, I mean, it's understandable, right? Like, he was definitely on the back foot the entire game, and he probably felt like he deserved to lose anyway.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't like, oh my god, this was winning, you were winning or anything. It just felt like if the Destructors get out alive to the right and maybe they come in and flank, right, that could change everything as well. So,
For sure.
it just felt like one of those moments when in DreamHack maybe you stay in like a minute longer. He didn't.
Yeah.
It's okay. It ties up 1-1. We get to go to Inside and Out up next. So fun games, cats. Lots of very kind of back and forth kind of aggression. Obviously, really felt like ShoWTimE was dominating the early game. The initial defense was so good. He completely shut it down. He kills the Immortal. He just overcommitted with those two Phoenix, and that led to him being contained for a long time, which probably should have been nail in the coffin for him. Then SKillous just didn't press the potential to take further advantages from there, and that was obviously a real shame too.
Yeah, for sure. But he ends up closing it out, right? And he tried to break ShoWTimE. Like, he tried to make it happen at top of the ramp. I mean, it didn't really work out, but you could see that that's what he really wanted to capitalize on, I guess. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Phoenix are really expensive units, right? Like, they don't seem like it, but they are really expensive. And when you invest into a 2 or 3 of those early on, and they get taken down for essentially for nothing, like you said, like the Phoenix didn't need to fly back to have a look-see for no reason, right? And then it gets picked up, and yeah, that granted SKillous all the map control that he needed. So now we are just waiting on the players. The next map is going to be Inside and Out. So a ramped map with a relatively short rush distance. Should be interesting whether the players go for the 1-gate expanse or not. I would wager they do.
Yeah, 1-gate expanse, Stargate-based openings, right? I feel like that has to be the expectation here, right? That's pretty much what we usually see. Inside now just lends itself to that, so yeah, I suppose we will find out exactly though, cats, and looks as though our players are now here and ready to go, so no further downtime, able to just kick straight on into game 3, all tied up 1-1, and a big match, of course, cats, because this is, playing to get into top 4, and top 4 do get that paid trip to Atlantis, so especially for the European region, it's a big kind of chunk of change out your pocket if you do have to pay for that trip to Atlanta. So yeah, it's actually one of the more important matches of this event.
No, yeah, completely agreed. I mean, it is, yeah, it's not just a ticket, it's accommodations and everything else that goes with it. So it's definitely big. It's definitely big. And you don't want to have to worry about it as well, right? Like, I hated booking stuff myself. So
yeah. And you get to start 2 group stages further along in the event. So that's chances for things to go wrong as well. So yeah, just so many advantages basically if you win this series right here, which makes it very important as tying it up in the bottom left and keeping his hopes of that alive then. A red Protoss player, SKillous.
I'm playing for Berlin International Gaming. It is ShoWTimE. All right, both players are going to go for the low ground gateways. And it's just going to be a gateway scout as well, so they will know at this point that they are being scouted, that their nexus is likely to be delayed. Probably a good idea to take a second gas really soon, as both players will. Actually, ShoWTimE hasn't yet, but there he goes.
Yeah, that makes no sense not to, right? You probably can end up going, I mean, typically you go Stargate, then expanding the situation unless your opponent lets you put your expansion down early.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there are some patterns. Oddly enough, yesterday, Trigger versus Nina, Trigger didn't take the gas, but I think he knew when Nina leaves the expansion to go up his ramp, because he had, $400 for a Nexus when she did, and he dropped it on the spot and yeah, avoided that gas. So that was pretty cool, but I think that's more of a internal meta of like, oh yeah, I know your pattern, right? I can actually get in there in the in-betweens.
Yeah. And so it's fascinating stuff, man. PvP is just a fascinating matchup as well. I love how this matchup just becomes so amazing over the last couple of years, especially. It's a very stereotypical thing to say about it, but it's just got so much variety that can happen early. So playing
every
tricks,
unit, right?
run stuff off, yeah, everything gets used in this matchup as well, for sure.
Yeah, there is just a ton of variety here, which is pretty cool. I mean, both players are going to be opening pretty similarly, of course. Stargate still, I mean, even in the Stargate, there is variety. We don't really know whether they are going to go for Phoenix or Oracles. Void Ray is very unlikely after spotting the other Stargate, right? Because then you are just at a disadvantage against Phoenix straight up, and not particularly adept at chasing Oracles either. So this reduces the options to 2, but we saw Void Ray's last game as well. So really, you can do anything under the right circumstances. And yeah, I completely agree. It's a really fun matchup.
Yeah, let's see what comes off our Stargate, Phoenix and Phoenix. You know, I said in the pregame, I was like, the one thing I don't want to see is like Stargate on Stargate, and only because sometimes these guys will have the tendency just to kind of sit back. No one wants to attack because it's Phoenix versus Phoenix. And so you just wait and wait and wait. Now, there's a lot of scenarios where this can become very fun if one player tries to be a bit aggressive, gets to catch a Phoenix or so. If someone tries to play like a tricky kind of like switch into DTs. If they do just play, you know, Phoenix on Phoenix into second Stargate, into Fleet Beacon, this really could be a game which just goes to 15 minutes, 4 bases before you really see a large fight break out.
Yeah, it could be the case. At the same time, if one of the players gets a little bit overly aggressive, which is unlikely because they scouted the Stargate as well, right? So, yeah, it's unlikely, but if one player gets an advantage, then the other player is likely to just switch onto Blink a little bit faster. And there's also some interesting turning points, I guess, later in the game, like as far as like when do you get your mothership and when do you get your carrier transition, and you know what is the way to go on those regards, and how fast also do you get the upgrades for Phoenixes, and is there a timing to exploit while the other player is being greedy in those regards, right? So look out for these players to obviously gather the information and try to exploit timings and try to get ahead of their opponent, because yeah, at some point you just can't trust that your opponent has been making Phoenix nonstop, and you just have to believe in yourself to be like, okay, well, at this point, this, you know, I'm gonna make 1 less Phoenix, 2 less Phoenix, maybe 3 less Phoenix, but in a minute from now I'll be really strong.
Look at that Oracle. Hey, that's fun, right? It's the sort of thing which is just because there hasn't been an Oracle yet, it comes in late and it's like, boom, you didn't expect this, right? And all of a sudden the Oracle can get a few probes. I wonder if the Oracle could even maybe potentially tank some Phoenix shots and give you the head, like a leg up in a Phoenix versus Phoenix fight. I don't think I've ever seen that, but
I doubt it.
Yeah,
because it doesn't fire back, right?
Yeah, but if it
would be the one.
If it tanks like 3 rounds of Phoenix shots, maybe
it could be something.
If it leads the charge, that would be insane.
That would be
your Oracle.
Yeah, I do love the Oracle though, because also in Phoenix versus Phoenix, like you don't want shield batteries, right? Because the Phoenix just completely overpower them. So ShoWTimE will not have a shield battery. Now the question is, when ShoWTimE sees the Oracle killing his base, does he just charge forward and try to take advantage of the gap if there is one in the Phoenix department, or does he actually just go back, take the damage, and play from behind, essentially?
Yeah, that's a tough one. We pull the probes. It looks like we are fighting with the Phoenix in the middle of the map as well. So a bit of a skirmish starts, then ShoWTimE's like, oh, I need to go deal with this. So, yeah, not really ideal. 2 Phoenix pop out. So he's going to keep the Phoenix across the map and I suppose try to see what he can do, but it's looking pretty good for SKillous. 12 workers killed, 1 sneaky Oracle. What a play. Just a single Oracle does so much.
Nifty. Yeah, the good thing for ShoWTimE is he does have the Fleet Beacon a little bit faster, so we'll get to those Anion Pulse crystals a little bit faster than SKillous can. But I was laughing because on the minimap, while we were watching the Oracle, it was SKillous that was pushing onto ShoWTimE. Now ShoWTimE knows, hey, you made an Oracle, let me punish you for that really quick. Will he be able to? I think he has enough Phoenix at the time.
Oh, he kills
and now the last one, yeah, that's really nasty. And now it's getting really bad for SKillous.
See, this is why this Oracle is kind of crazy, because you think it's like a really cool play, and it is a really cool play, but this is just how tight Phoenix versus Phoenix is once ShoWTimE gets 1 shot through these batteries, it just doesn't matter, and then you just never catch up with SKillous, and it's just straight up GG. This is why I would have loved the Oracle to be a hero, Caps, if he could have tanked like 3 rounds of Phoenix shot.
Yeah, and that is exactly why I was laughing, because you can't have an Oracle on the other side and pretend to be stronger than your opponent, and it was working. ShoWTimE was actually backing away with the Phoenix as SKillous was chasing him, and then he turns around on the minimap, right? ShoWTimE's like, wait a second, like you don't have more than, no way you have more than me. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I feel like maybe if you're going to do that, once you see, maybe leave yourself a gap to see if it's going to be successful, and then cut down on other fronts. Maybe don't transition into the upgrade as quickly, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe add some cannons or something of the sorts.
Yeah, it's just you give up a Phoenix to build the Oracle, and then you maybe cut Phoenix slightly to build the Fleet Beacon, right? And
exactly. Just
by that point, it's like ShoWTimE, if he's just been building Phoenix, which he had been, and he was really good at keeping on building Phoenix, yeah, he overwhelms. So ShoWTimE finds the counter timing necessary to get a W there, and he is going to go up 2-1 now in this best of 5.
Indeed. So the next map is going to be Moondance. Definitely an interesting map, and that was definitely not what we were expecting out of the Phoenix versus Phoenix opening. A very quick-paced game, so you'll love to see it as well.
Yeah, no, I actually really did love the trickery play, the commitment into the Oracle. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. And you could see absolutely how it could work. Just, you got to be able to then survive the counterattack, which is obviously going to come. And unfortunately, SKillous just didn't have the answer to that today.
Yeah, and it pretty much has to come, right? You don't just say, oh, I lost 12 workers, that's okay. Let's just keep making Phoenix and see what happens.
Oh, opposite now, yeah. If you take that sort of damage, you know you've got to do something. So if your opponent knows they have to do something, someone as good as ShoWTimE's probably going to do it. Yeah, that's exactly what we ended up seeing. Then for game 4, Cats, so on to Moondance. It's one of the other maps without that ramp up into the natural, but of course you've got an in-base expand, so all sorts of fun that can happen here. So you have in the bottom right-hand side, it is going to be our Red Protoss player, now down in the series, SKillous.
And in the top side of the map here, it is for big ShoWTimE. A little bit of a beast, leading up 2-1 now.
Yeah.
Perfect posture.
Yeah, cool to see ShoWTimE looking for a top 4, because as many times as we've had these DreamHack events, to me, ShoWTimE, like, for a long time was like one of the top 4 Europe, right? But the amount of DreamHacks we've had, I feel like he's had an underwhelming amount of top 4s in these European regionals. So, yeah, just cool to see him looking to make another one, perhaps. And because, yeah, to me, ShoWTimE classically is just meant to be in the top 4. And of course, nowadays, you know, it's very tightly contested with Gabe and sometimes Lambo, SKillous, obviously very good at competing there as they all scrap over that 4th place. Obviously, Max Packs as well. So, yeah, it's obviously very heavily contested, but it's almost a bit nostalgic, I suppose, seeing like ShoWTimE kind of like climbing the European ranks again. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Not completely unexpected, but it is a highly contested position, like you said. So it is good to see him. And he is definitely, you know, up for the task and good enough. Obviously, he is a fantastic player. SKillous has a probe out on the map. So he will be going for a pylon behind this little path blockers or side blockers, I guess. What do you think that's going to be? That's a not position.
Kind of feels like a robo again.
Yeah, maybe.
I just feel like if it's a Stargate, why not just go the other side and have the better route into the main base?
Right. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it is a robo.
It is a robo indeed. Still a little strange for me, a robo. It's still on the low ground there too, right? You could potentially spot it from the high ground, but how likely is it really to check there? I guess not very.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun position. It's very akin to what he did on Cosmic Sapphire, right? Just somewhere that maybe isn't the most logical for a lot of reasons, but in terms of maybe not being seen or scouted,
right?
Maybe is one of the best positions because it's
for
a little
reasons,
less than optimal to place it there in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because it doesn't make a lot of sense, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
No.
That's where PvP's at nowadays.
Okay, 2 Adept opening again from ShoWTimE. So he has really been mixing this in this series, which I love to see as well. SKillous will have the stronger units out on the map with the Stalkers, but the Adepts, of course, have more aggressive potential and cost less gas as well, so that Stargate transition is empowered by it.
The concern I have for SKillous is that this is just very similar to what we saw last time as well, when these two kind of had these builds. This is an Oracle this time, though, from ShoWTimE, so not Phoenix as quickly. Yeah, okay. I mean, obviously, last time ShoWTimE was great initially against this. It was just the follow-up that he kind of messed up on, a bit overcommitted, perhaps, but yeah, you have an Oracle first. We won't really have a lot to defend with. These Adepts want to harass, you know, the Oracle wants to harass. In terms of actually setting up a defense, no one wants to have anything to do with that, so yeah, ShoWTimE's got to be kind of careful. The Oracle pops, and we're going to go another Oracle. Yeah, I'm kind of worried for ShoWTimE right now.
Yeah, exactly. If SKillous is going to take the fight to him, it's going to be very difficult to fight this army head on. The Adepts are just not going to stack up against any of these units too well. But on the other end of things, I mean, ShoWTimE has so much potential for harassment, like you were saying. So SKillous still has to be careful. And a second Oracle is on the way, so ShoWTimE very likely to wait for that one to go into a mineral line that he expects will have a shield battery there already. So we'll see if he can do the counter damage while holding.
Yes, the double Oracle is very important because that's going to be able to laser down probes, and you're going to need to laser down some amount of workers here. As the defense gets set, the batteries are coming online, ShoWTimE is prepping. Will the Prism Micro and the Immortal Power be a little bit too much? We find out very soon. The double Oracle's ready to go. The sooner you get into this mineral line, you start getting rid of probes, the better. The sooner you stop your opponent from getting more units up, And yeah, ShoWTimE is going to work his way through a lot of workers quickly. He is taking damage, but obviously the timer is somewhat on SKillous when he's taking damage like that on the other side. He's just going to walk straight up here. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, nice from SKillous. They're paying attention, or ShoWTimE not paying attention rather, so not able to force heal to delay. Obviously, the force heal can be bypassed regardless, but this is looking really scary for ShoWTimE now. This is a lot of units from SKillous, and the shield battery is not really partaking either. A lot of these stalkers are getting dangerously low, and ShoWTimE actually doing a good job of holding with the probes. On the other side, 21 probes have fallen. SKillous down to 1 probe, Wardicho. He needs to win with this.
He has to win with this. I was really worried for the Prism. I think ShoWTimE thought he could get it, but he was actually held back a little bit too fast. He didn't get enough damage on it. The Immortal must be saved, and it is saved for a few moments longer, but it's hitting a depth which isn't the most optimal for it. Battery out of energy. The new battery only halfway done, so ShoWTimE needs to buy more time. He is at least still warping in, so time is ShoWTimE's friend, and of course pulling probes would be great for ShoWTimE again. There's nothing here from SKillous that is good against a probe pull, which we already saw once, and the Oracles can be here for some added firepower because you just need everything you can get right now.
It's looking like a 3-1. It's going to be very difficult for SKillous. He's going to micro his heart out, but it's getting more and more difficult as time progresses. ShoWTimE has more units, and now it's going to be it as the Immortal falls and SKillous types GG. Well played.